Alright, welcome back to Jameson's Repair Shop. You'll probably hear the overhead heater running, so pay no attention to that. What we have is the window that came out of the right hand door of the Thunderbird. So anyway, if you've been following, you saw when I took it out, the spring come off of it. And I don't think the spring looks to be in good shape, needs to be cleaned, but the motor's seized on this. So I'm going to test it out a little bit. I'm going to clean it all up first. We've got some brake cleaner here, give it a clean. And then I'm going to start seeing if the motor actually jogs. I don't think it is, but I'm going to try again. So anyway, let me get it all set up, cleaned up, and we'll get back to you. Okay, the brake cleaner wouldn't do it. So I have my own wax and grease remover that I made. It's based on, I think, one of the SDSs that I come up with. I forget what brand it was, but it was for a wax and grease remover. It's easy to make. You can make as much as you want for a lot cheaper than buying the stuff. But everybody has their own thing. I'm pretty cheap, so I like to get stuff. But this stuff takes all this off. The brake cleaner wouldn't touch it, like I said. But this here, I just dip a little on a brush and go around, and it gets rid of it. Alright, so let me continue on with that, and we'll get this cleaned up better. Yeah, see, it just melted away, the grease. Yeah, that's better. Looking a lot better already. Alright, I got her flipped over here. Just going over it with my bigger brush to all this. With the same wax and grease remover. Some of it's going to get on the desk, I know, but that's okay. On the top, that's what the workbench is for. Clean up pretty quick. Then, once I get her cleaned up, I'll put some power on it and see if she'll bump. I believe it's probably just over. I don't know why the spring came out. I'll figure it out. I should clean the spring too while I'm here, because I'm going to need that again. Soak that spring probably in something. To get a container, I'll soak that, get it cleaned up better. Alright. Yeah. The motor wasn't too dirty anyhow, but the apparatus, but it is got a lot of grime on it, but it's not crazy dirty, and it's not rusted at all, which is probably the only part in this car that's not rusted. Anybody who's been following probably knows that. Alright, I'm going to continue cleaning it up, and I'll bring you back once I'm ready to bump it to see what's going on there. And then we'll make a plan on how to get it freed up. May have to take the motor apart, who knows. So I don't know if this means anything to anybody, but I'll document it anyway. This is the mechanism is a Hancock, and it's a 43827. I don't even know what those numbers mean. Hancock, I assume, is the manufacturer. And then the motor is this, it's a Ford motor. And of course there's the part number right there. Someone may need that, I don't know. No harm in recording it. And then the motor is pretty much just a 12 volt. Yeah. And then there's a part number on the motor, but a lot of that's wiped off now. But yeah, that's her. So, I got her cleaned up. I gave her a spray with this stuff here, the Super Lube. I find this stuff works really well after you get all the grease off. Just tried to bump it with my power pack here, my lithium pack, and not a movement. So I'm gonna have to pull it apart, and it could be in this worm gear area. Who knows? More than likely, it's stuck on the bushings on the motor. I had that with the seat one. I think I mentioned that before, where the seat motor out of this car. It was bonded. The shaft was bonded right to the bushing. I had to give it a little heat, just a little bit of heat, and it took right off. So I'm going to pull the motor off of the regulator. Might have some trouble getting in to the bolt in there, but I think maybe once I can swing the motor on that bolt, maybe I can get it to swing away from this gear and I can get at it. So let me try, see what happens. Alright, well I tried, I took out 2 of the screws, I put them back in so we wouldn't lose them. These are 8mm, they're probably 5/16 in actual factuality, but so what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull, so I can't get that motor off, this worm gear off of here. Not that I can see. There's no way to get at that other bolt. It's just in the wrong spot. So I'm going to have to pull the back of the motor off and see what happens there. It's I hate to disturb all the rubber coating, but I could try heating it first. I guess that wouldn't hurt before I tore it all apart. Heat this with a heat gun, not a torch, but a heat gun. So I'm going to try that before I do any more work. So I'll just give it some heat around. I'll heat it up in this area here with a heat gun, and hopefully these front bearings will let go, and maybe I'll give it a little touch on the back too. But I'm going to try to avoid disturbing that rubber coating that's on the motor. But if I have to, I have to. Alright, I got the heat gun out. I'm going to give it a little heat. And then I'll see if I can jog it some. I gotta go easy, I don't want to melt everything. And this may not do anything. But I don't think it's going to hurt anything. I'll give it a jog. No. Well, he got the motor too. Hard to heat the motor with that rubber all over it. I think it's in here is where the issue is. It could be up in here, but I don't know. See the smoke coming, so I'll try it now. Just give it a little jog. Nope. Nothing. Nothing in either direction. Alright. I think they're thermal protected anyway. Alright, I'm going to keep working on it. Alright, well, I just went ahead and pulled the back of the motor out. And I would say that this armature, if you guys can see that, it's stuck. It's rusted right in. There's a lot of gum on the worm gear, so this is going to take some effort to get going. I would say that the magnetic area and the metal around that rusted to the armature. So I'll put some penetrating fluid in. I'm going to check on what would be good so it doesn't damage anything in there. Anybody has any idea on that? Well, this will already be done by the time I get it out. Well, that's what I'm doing. The worm gear now, I can turn it. So I'll get the worm gear off and work on that, set aside the regulator. So what I found, I got the armature out and it was bonded to the, not bonded, it was just stuck on the metal fields. On the fields. The armature itself is in good shape. It's not gouged out or anything. It's just dirty. It needs to be cleaned up. But overall, it's in good shape. The little O-ring that's in the front is still nice. Well, I would replace it because it is a little flat. I shouldn't say it's nice because it is flattened out, but it's still soft. So now the brushes are popped out of place a bit, so I'm going to have to get those pushed back up in. But we can deal with it. That's no problem. We'll get her back together one way or another. Actually, I think there's a joint. If I remember correctly on these motors, there's an insert on the back end to get at the brushes. But anyway, I'm pretty sure there is. All right, we'll continue on. So I took the regulator off, and it needs to be cleaned really well inside. It's not rusted up. There's a slight bit of rust on it, but not much. It's all in pretty good shape. So I'll set that aside. And then there's this little plastic cover. And of course the gasket and the 3 screws. Cover, gasket, 3 of these screws. And here's the gearbox end of it. And it is really, that grease, I don't know if you can see that, I'm up too far. That grease has gone really hard in there. So this all has to be cleaned out. Those little, and I can see that these little rollers in there, one of them looks to be broken, or actually more than one. Yeah, they've deteriorated. So there's going to be some issues there. Going to have to get probably get those parts. I don't know. I'm sure some of it's available. If not, I can grab them out of the green car if they're not deteriorated either. So there's some work that needs to be done in there for a rebuild. But I think we can get her. So that's all I'm going to be able to do with that motor for now until I get some parts. I'll bag it all up and keep it all together, and I'll see if I can get this mechanism in here. So we know what's wrong with the motor, and I'm going to get that fixed up, but I'm going to address this drive cog in case I had to order parts. So I didn't have to order parts, I made some. So as you can see right here, this is all what was left of those little rollers that were in this drive clutch, or this drive cog. And here's the actual metal part of it, the cog, the window regulator drive sprocket. And I went and cleaned up all of make sure that the cog itself, the nylon cog or whatever it is made out of, I assume it's nylon, make sure it's all good shape, it's not crowned out. It's nice, it's a nice piece. So it's all cleaned up. So I want to show you now how I made these. And we'll install them, just mock them up. So what I did, and I'm going to show you, I had a broken 13mm socket. So it was a deep socket. So I cut it in half to get rid of the hexagon, because it was a 6-point socket. And then I just put it on the bench grinder and ground it down so it's smooth. So I think a lot of you already know where this is going. Yeah. Probably Troy does for sure. He's a bench press guy. So yeah, so I'm going to take you over to the bench press and I'll show you what I did. So just hang on there. We'll move over there. Okay, over at the bench press. And I have a sheet of Teflon here. And I think this is 3/8. Looks like a 3/8 sheet. But it is the height of those little pucks that go in that drive gear. And you can see what I did. So I'm going to do one, and this is the nicest one so far that I did, sorry. So I'm just going to go down, and I just put the socket on. Of course, this will have to go up just a shade more. Just like so. I'll go back out here. I'll take it across the end, like that. I'll line that up. And I'm going to need, I'll need 4 sets of these, so I don't mind making an extra one right now. I suspect they're all the same, and there's four window motors in this car, and they're all the same drive cog as far as I know. So then I just put it in and just slowly put her down, like so. So she pops through. There she is, just like so. Take her back up, just enough to clear it, and then yank her out. It's time to stuck a little bit, but it'll come out. Twist on it. There she comes. So that's out. So now I just go back over to the bench, and I'll pop that out with a punch. So hang on. So here I am over at my little portable vise. I didn't want it over there, it's just been sitting here, so I just put it in. This is all basic stuff. Anybody can do this. Just tap it out, like so. Got yourself a little plug. Now it's got a little bit of edge on it, so I'll just trim it up on the old bench grinder, so let's go do that. Alright, at the bench grinder, which isn't very far away, this out of the way, a little crowded here. And all I did was just clean up the edges some, just so they're a little more square. And it takes off on you every now and then, of course. But that's okay, not hurting anything. Just light, very light touches. And then I just go through, round them off a little on the top, take that burr off them. So all I'm really doing is deburring them for the most part. And you can buy these. Bird's Nest have them. I think it's $4.95 a set of 3. It's a decent price. I don't see anything wrong with it if you have to buy them for that price. But for me, buy 4 sets of them and have them shipped here, all of a sudden it's more than that. It's a lot more than that. That's US dollars, of course. And I'm in Canada, so all of a sudden I'm behind the 8 ball on it. Anyway, cut that off. And there's that. There's one of those little pucks. Alright, so let's go back over to the workbench and get it installed. So now I've got the 3 pucks made. Actually I have 4. There's the extra one. I'll just leave it there. But I have these 3. So I just have to get them in there. So what I found easily, that works really easy, is if you just take a puck and the drive cog and just kind of go like this. Now I'm not greasing these because I don't think they need to be greased. It's Teflon. So I drop it in like that. And then take another one, just pull it up a bit, drop it in like so. Take another one, pull it in. The last one, you have to fiddle with it a little bit, but there it goes. So there you are. There I am. I've got the little pucks replaced, brand new Teflon pucks. Now, you'll see there's a little gap between the cog and that. This metal, those metal tabs that go down, that's as far as it'll go in. It sits on the base of the inside of the sprocket. So everything is good. And I'm quite sure those were 3/8 Teflon sheets. Doesn't matter, measure it. I happen to have the right size, or I feel the right size. So now this is where I will put the grease and everything in when I'm ready to. And it just slides over like that. And we're all rebuilt. Just like so. I think that'll be fine. It's got play like it's supposed to, as far as I know. I watched, if you want to know about these, go watch Nick's video at Vintage Thunderbird Repair. And he's doing the quarter window, and he talks about this particular drive gear. And he recommends this style here. Unfortunately, I had this style, which is nice. And not the spring style, but you go over to his and watch it and see what he has to say, because it's a good video. Shows you how to rebuild a quarter window. All right, so now I got all that done. I'm very happy with it. Let's move on, and we'll continue on rather with the actual motor rebuild. There you go. At home for stuff I already had. But yeah, they're cheap enough. If you're in the US, probably just best to buy them if you don't, instead of going through all that work. It wasn't all that work, it took me about a half an hour. But anyway, that's it. Alright, I split the motor. I just cut it, the rubber coating with a utility knife along the edge, and it popped right apart. This grommet here was a little bit difficult to get out because it was all bonded in with the rubber. And one thing that they did was put one brush on the field side and one brush on the brush carrier. So it'll be a little bit more difficult to get back together, but I think I'll get her figured out. I want to talk a little bit about this. I started making pucks out of this, out of Teflon. These little torque pucks, I guess they are, torque, whatever they are. They're meant to crush if the motor gets under too much pressure. I talked to Nick, and Nick, after talking to Nick, I realized, yes, there's a weak link. So Teflon's going to be too tough for them. So I'm going to use the Teflon just for testing, but I ordered a whole set, enough for the whole car from Bird Nest. So when they come in, I'll put them in and that. But for now, I'll use the ones I made. I just made them out of Teflon. And this is what they look like right here. That's the one I made anyway, another one. So I'm back on here, so I'm going to clean up the little thermal brakes here, the little points, clean them up. I got some sensor cleaner here, same as contact cleaner, and I have some of this rim sealer to reseal the motor body afterwards. So I'm going to continue on with it, and I'll keep checking back with you. All right, here we are. Got this cleaned up. I put the brushes back in. I'm just using some little tie wraps to hold them in place. They're a bugger. I cleaned up the thermal switch, give it a little rub with some fine sandpaper, and cleaned it with contact cleaner. Cleaned up the armature. You probably can't see it, but give it a cleaning. Just went over it with polished it up. And I'm trying to get the motor back, get this armature back in. Now hopefully I can get these little tie wraps back off. I don't know, like I've not done this motors. I've done one of these motors, but I don't remember how I got the brushes back in. With that brush being tied to the armature, it makes it quite difficult. I'm sure there's a simple way, but I'm going to try it this way. Maybe there's a tool or something that works. But they're fiddly. So let me get her back together and see how we can, see if I can do it. And if any changes to my plan, I'll record that too. Alright, that went pretty good actually. So I brought it in just so I could reach in with a pair of small needle nose pliers. And I just grabbed the clip on the tie wraps. These are pretty cheap tie wraps, which is good, works in their favor here because they break easy. And I just snapped them off. No problem. Came right out and the whole thing slid together. So like I said, I don't know if that's the right way of doing it, but that's how it worked for me. So now I've got the armature in and the holes are lined up with where they should be. Now I'm going to put the head on it with this piece here with the drive gear on. I'm going to pull this out because I need to grease this. I want to use Molly grease on it. There, got her all back together. I had to take it, it wouldn't turn over when I first did it. So I had to back these screws out just about 4 turns roughly. Take some pressure off this plate. Well, off the whole assembly. And now then I got it running and then I put it back together and it seems to work pretty good. So that's one direction and here's another one. Oh, it's got lots of jam now. No problem. I'm trying to hold the phone or the camera and do this at once. Alright, there we go. Let me just grab that. She's jumping all over. There she is. So she's spinning good. It's good. Now I'll get the drive gear back in and test it again. I got a bunch of Molly grease here. This stuff here, I just got it at local Canadian Tire. I'll put a bunch more in, just like that. Got some. I loaded the gear teeth up on the gear sprocket too. Make sure they're loaded, and this should just slip right in. Oh, probably drifting off there, thinking about other things. And that's it. So that's in. So let's see what happens now. She still turns. I'm sure it will. I can't imagine it not turning. There we go. There. I think she's going to be good. So now I am going to put it all back together and try it on the regulator. But I ordered new gaskets, like I said earlier. I ordered a new gasket for it. I ordered the new torque dowels or torque plugs or whatever you want to call them. There's about 10 different names for those. And they are readily available in Canada, but they were, like I said, $4.95 in Bird Nest. Or I could get them here through Parts Avatar out of Ontario. They're 12 something for a set of 3. And I wanted to buy, so I said, well, I'll just order a bunch of other stuff from Bird Nest. I needed those drain plugs for the quarter panels and all that kind of stuff anyway. So I just put an order in with them. When we get them, I'll switch them back out, and this will be redone. This motor will be working. And I'm going to reseal this around, and I'll show you after I do it, with this rim seal stuff. It's like a liquid rubber. So I'll clean it off really well so it gets some good grip. And I have to reseal the wire grommet too. Mind you, it's in nice soft condition, but still needs to be all resealed, and also all the places where they had it sealed originally. So let me get at her. Well, there she is. She's all put back together. I didn't do the sealing yet, but I'm going to here pretty quick. I just want to do a little demonstration. I've got the spring in on the other side. And near as I can make out, there has to be preload on it, otherwise it wouldn't stay in place, it would fall off. So I did one bit of preload, and then I wound it in, jogged the motor while bringing the cog, this part of the regulator, into the drive sprocket. I had put in a device for that, so that gives you that preload. So now for going up, or rather down, sorry. This would be the down, because it's in the up position there now. So this is down. So you remember you have the weight of the window on this too. And then switch it to the up. And that's just by switching the leads around here. If I can get on it now. I'm using my remote starter for the car, for working on cars for this. That's pretty good. There's a little more control on it. So now this would be for up on the window. Now if you go too far, it's going to fall out and flop around. So just stop it there. Anyway, that motor's working pretty good. It's sounding good. I'm happy with it. Now, like I say, when I get the parts from Bird Nest, I'll redo that mechanism in there, so then it will have that safety device. Which is the weakest link in those three little torque pucks. So that would be down. So with the weight of the window on it, probably it'll be faster than that. All right. Well, that's one part redone. Once I get let's do that right now. All right, just hold on, and I'll just do a little coating of that. It's pretty straightforward. You just put it on and coat it around. But let's have a look. So I'll put some on and I'll show you. There we go. I give it a good slathering of the rim seal stuff. This stuff right here. I use it. This is for sealing the beads on a tire. It works really well on the alloy rims. It's not expensive, or it wasn't when I bought this. I've had this for years. Every now and then, I have to put a little acetone in it just to thin it up again. It does lose a little bit, but it's a really good rubber sealer. I didn't go over the old markings. I wanted to keep those. Not that it matters so much. This is not a concourse restoration, but I did want to seal that motor up nicely. So once that dries, it'll pretty much look like the rest of the rubber coating. So that's it until I get more parts for it. But it's pretty simple. And these arms and everything aren't rusty. I'll probably do a little more cleanup on them, but they weren't rusty. Maybe I'll spray some of this area down with that rust converter once I'm done doing the internal work. I'm going to call it here for this video. There's that window motor all redone. And thanks a lot for watching. And we'll see you in the next one.